Greetings, Harbormen. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Frost Harbor, which is a series cut from the Frostpunk 2 marathon. If you would like to skip the setup of this Utopia, please use YouTube chapters. So in the Utopia builder, there's 7 different choices here. There's the Windswept Peaks, which is randomized resources and Frostland in a medium area. There's Fractured Gorge, which is randomized resources with geothermal deposits, limited fuel, and small. There is the Broken Shore, randomized resources, large area, access to forests and oil, but not iron. There's the Horizon, randomized resources, plentiful but distant resources in a huge area. Crater, large area, great starting resources, limited coal. Dreadnought, small area, starts with oil, but few other resources. Hanging Rock, small, balanced. And you guys can pick of those 7. I'll give you 1 more minute to vote. And there's some other things to vote on too soon. And I'm going to make sure that Twitch integration is on council votes maximum, no participant limit. And now we're doing the Twitch integrated Utopia. All right, looks like Hanging Rock is going to be and Broken Shore are tied. If anyone wants to be the tiebreaker in the last 20 seconds, go for it. Broken Shore pulling out ahead. Next question. What is our ambition? Colonizing the Frostland, which is establishing 3 different colonies of 10,000 each for food, fuel, and materials. There is developing a metropolis, which is significantly increasing the main city's population up to 50k. Stockpiling resources, create a massive stockpile of fuel, goods, and materials. Or random. Basically, I don't choose until we start. Looks like random is winning. I'll wait a minute for this. Truth be told, I don't think that we probably have enough time left in the stream for me to accomplish any of these ambitions, but we could always work towards them. But it looks like random... I'm going to call this one early. Say random is the victory. What community to pick? There's the Foragers and Machinists. And let me reset that so that you guys don't accidentally vote for the wrong thing. Foragers and Machinists with something random for the extreme factions. Thinkers and Lords. Or Laborers and Merchants. So, Foragers and Machinists, I might get this wrong, but I believe that is adaptation versus progress. This is, I think, merit versus equality. And, no, I could be getting these wrong. I'm sorry I don't have them memorized. But essentially you're picking the 2 non-radicalized factions to start with. It looks like Foragers and Machinists is what we're going to go with. Alright, let's start. And it is randomizing both the resources of Broken Shore and the Frostlands. A new beginning. The end of the world changes people. It changed us. Us, the Foragers, natural survivalists adapted to the harsh Frostland conditions. The Machinists, descendants of groups that built the initial cities and maintained their machinery. And the Laborers, factory workers and manual laborers who learned you must toil together to survive. We choose you to be our steward, leave the city as overpopulation looms and resources dwindle. We all dream of a better future. What it should look like, this we cannot agree on. Here is the Broken Shore. I've never played Broken Shore map, so I'm going to take a second to try to figure out where its resources are. Dream of Utopia. Resources run low after years of barely getting by. We must expand, we must construct basic infrastructure, and begin researching better methods. We also need a council to vote on common rules. So the ambition is to set up 3 different colonies for fuel, food, and materials, and to not have any current problems in our city. So taking a look at the raw resources, there is a lot of materials, it looks like. These material nodes are 72k apiece with some deep deposits. Tons of frozen forests here. There is fertile soil down by the coast with prefabs really far away, which is awkward because generally you want prefabs early on, so trying to obtain those prefabs is tricky. There is a deep deposit of coal, meaning we don't necessarily have to transition away from coal too quickly. What about housing districts? So there is exposed to wind area here, but that's mostly for resource extraction. There doesn't seem to be any crevasses that are beneficial. So for housing, I'm mostly going to be setting it up around the starting generator. So we need 4 housing districts to start, and I'll start laying them out now. And we're also going to want to pretty immediately start extracting charcoal, or the coal seams. So that we can keep heated. And I'm going to expose the other coal seams as well, as soon as I can. I also want to open up a lot of area around the generator, so that we can expand housing in kind of every direction that we want. And then as we start mining the coal, we're going to need materials. And there seems to be a lot of localized materials, and I think this logistics district is the closest. So I'm going to go that way to the logistics district. But we're also going to want food. But there seems to be like a deep seam of food right here. So I'm going to set 2 food districts up here to keep us fed. Although we're starting with 50k food, which will last us about a year. So that's not a bad start to sit on. So housing districts. 1. 2. And then I need a frost break for more. I'm trying to give them each a lot of synergy and a lot of connections with adjacent ones to limit the amount of fuel that I need to fuel them up with. So let's start frost breaking towards the materials and exit. So, the communities. The foragers believe in adaptation, the laborers believe in equality, and the machinists believe in progress. So the machinists and the foragers are at odds with one another, and the laborers are sort of like a have no rival, neutral, equality faction. And pretty much all of the major decisions are going to be left up to you on the council, the active voters voting. So let's make sure that the Twitch integration is... And it says it's on. Good. And I think the overlay is enabled as well. It's a pretty cool map tile. I like the layout. Like, right on the coast. So, I'm going to name our city Frost Harbor. Housing district number 3 going in. And then we have excavated some of the food. And some of the materials. So the immediate need to meet would be the coal seams, so that we don't freeze. And I think it makes sense to frost break around them a little bit more so that I can have adjacencies between the prefabs and the coal. And I'm also going to need to start extracting those prefabs. So I'm going to start extracting the prefabs now. Actually, I'm going to extract the prefabs and make the prefabs adjacent to the generator. The prefabs are going to be fully extracted, and I'll be able to recycle that sooner or later, but we might as well have lower fuel costs for those prefab extractors. And I think what I'm going to do is turn off tutorials, because I don't need them popping up anymore. They're not helpful. Alright, we are in coal positive already. And that is without even the second coal mine. So that's good. So this housing district, what I wanted to do is I wanted it to span adjacent... Oh, I can't do that. So I have to expand this one a little bit first so that there's more boundaries for it. That's fine. The looming cold. Cold has risen to a concerning level. Yeah, working on it. We got a little bit of food. It's still not enough, but it's slowing down our loss rate. We are losing coal only because we have more housing districts to heat, but we haven't set up our second coal mine. And we'll get that going in just a minute. And then we're going to want the research facility in the council hall before too long, because a lot of the initial laws are very powerful to combat resource scarcities, and then of course the research too for heating and whatnot. Come on. Enough to frost break, please. Okay.
Warm. Report all leaks and damages to the nearest maintenance office.
So I am out of coal in 181 weeks. That's not very soon. So the next investment will be to get everyone to houses. So you all don't freeze. And I intend to extend this housing district around the other housing districts and closing them all in. Maybe leaving one spot here for a hub. And then getting an enormous amount of heating decrease from all of those adjacent bonuses. And that should have my cold and disease go away entirely. So the next scarcity. 83 weeks for food and 37 weeks for materials. So let's do materials next, as that is the most urgent. So an extraction district for materials right here. I think I'm going to set the extraction district up here so that I can expand it out to the deep frozen deposit once it grows. So housing is solved. And as you can see, the heating demands is like minus 80. So it's going to have to get a lot colder for me to even need to heat those houses because they're all huddled together effectively. So if you take a look, it's minus 60, minus 80, minus 40, and minus 40. So these two are the least insulated, but I'm going to be working to fix that once they expand.
An automaton has broken down.
All right, materials down in 155, food down in 76, coal down in 57. So coal is our next most urgent. There we go. That's another coal extractor. All right, coal is up. Materials are down in 50, food down in 72, so materials is going to be the next one. And I think what I'm going to do is expand this this material out to the deep deposit. And then use the rest of the frost breaking to gain access to the logistics district. And then I'm also going to want to frost break this direction just so they get... Actually, no, I can expand it this way. Yeah, like that. Perfect. That's perfect. So now materials down in 98 weeks, food in 68. So let's do one more food district. And for that, I'm going to want to frost break so that it can be adjacent to the other food district so that they synergize off of each other. And for that, I'm going to need more prefabs. How many prefabs are left in this? 29 weeks, so I don't need to worry about prefab manufacturing just yet. The one after that is obviously going to be goods, so that I can get full heat stamp income. So there we go. They both share a heating border. And now food in 207 weeks. That's lots of time. The next most urgent would again be materials. And what I intend to do is put a materials hub here. So to have another materials district out this way. Putting a hub in between, which will then also connect to goods as well. So let's do one more materials this direction. And then while we do that, I wouldn't mind getting the workforce for logistics too.
Do not be alarmed by any
probably do that first
coming.
because of how powerful logistics districts can be. Hit stamps are basically just funds. Public funds, income. Just a fancy name for it. Okay, population increase. So, this is a pretty good indicator that I also need the research and council hall, and I'll be getting that as soon as I get out to the overland map. Good. So now my logistics district shares a border with this production district so that they're easier to heat. Alright. I don't have any urgencies right now. I mean, I could use a little bit more shelter, but it's not a big problem. I could start producing goods, but I think I would prefer to build the Research Institute once I have the prefabs for it. So what to research is going to be up to you. 1 minute on that pull. My advice would be probably heating, but it's up to you if you want to heed that advice or not. And here's the Research Institute at the heart of our residential district. And now with Frostland Explorers, we can go out to the map. So there's hills, which is too difficult and dangerous. A sea of ice, which has potentially coal and cores. Crevasse fields, which is way deadly. Plains, which has oil and materials. So let's go for the coal and cores first. That seems pretty reasonable. And then the logistics district here, I'm going to reduce the people working in it because I have other Frostland teams that don't have employment. Okay. Heating it is. Oh, I didn't realize there's oil on the map tile. Wow, that's a really deep deposit of oil, too. Right here at home. That's different. I am running low on prefabs. So, to that end, I'm going to make a dash for the prefabs back here. Which also means that I can nab the fertile soil on the way, or gain access to it, and then possibly unearth the oil. Not that we have a generator that can utilize oil just yet, because that would require additional research. Cheers. Alright, Research Institute is constructed. At this moment, my homes are free to heat, but cold is on the horizon. So I'm going to research... Ooh. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have you guys decide. So there is a big choice to be had here, which is how to adapt our generator. And once we make a choice, we can't change it. So have the generator be able to run on oil, coal, and steam. So adaptive pumps, or have it run on oil only. So generator on coal, steam, and oil, or generator on oil only. And while you vote on that, I'll give you 5 minutes to vote because it doesn't need to be rushed. I'm going to research asbestos lining so that our houses are more insulated. So I gained access to the oil node, and I'm heading to the prefabs, because I am almost out of prefabs over here. And I don't really want to manufacture prefabs manually just yet, as that is more effortful than just excavating them.
Please give the right of way.
So as soon as I have enough for a new extraction district.
In transit.
Oh boy, this one's gone. So if you're wondering about the idea tree here, the generator, if we do oil pumps, can only exclusively run on oil, but with increased efficiency, just to clarify. Whereas the adaptive pumps allows us to run on whatever, oil, coal, and steam, but not with increased, specific increased efficiency with any one fuel source. So one is oil only, just like the story that we did, and the other is runs on anything. Now, there isn't geothermal on this map tile. Some of the map tiles will give you geothermal geysers to allow you to run off of steam, but we don't have access to that here. Alright, I think it would be wise to start to get more materials. Do we have iron? I think we don't have iron on this map tile, right? If I'm mistaken. I think the Broken Shore had no iron. So it's only frozen forests. Okay. So I hope that the Frostland explorers find iron. In fact, I think what I'm going to do, knowing that, is to expand the Frostland exploration to try to find materials to be able to import, instead of relying on manufacturing it ourselves. Because we have 18 weeks of materials. It's not much. Alright, asbestos lining. Massive boost to home heating. So like this central district here has 100 insulation. Crazy, crazy. That's a lot. And we still do have some, there we go. That should help too. Some people that are unhomed. And expanding it there increases the insulation here even more, up to 80. And this also up to 60. Because of those adjacency bonuses. And this should be also 80. This is near 2 housing districts. So very powerful choices there. And you guys voted for me to upgrade the generator at some point to be the adaptive pumps. Okay, copy that. Let's go get ahead and get some additional Frostland teams going. So taking a look at the before I do that, I'm going to frost break a little bit of an area around here so that I can expand the logistics district in a way that I prefer.
A cold season is imminent.
Alright, and our first team has finished surveying. They found coal. A high supply of coal, but not deep. And here's another choice. Core or automaton. So taking the core gives us 1 core. Taking the automaton gives us 400 workforce that isn't humanoid. It's also kind of maybe worth mentioning that the ultimate ambition of our colony is to establish food, fuel, and materials, meaning that population is kind of a big deal. But I'll leave it up to you anyway. So while you vote on that, let's go ahead and survey to the south. Heat lamps. So the foragers are suggesting heat lamps, and I don't want to really piss anyone off, so I'm going to agree to that. Oops, that was the wrong thing. Where? Oh, that's weird. It's not highlighting properly. Yeah, whatever. Okay, I have now the capacity to form a new team, and let's go to the plains. And it looks like you guys are going to want the automaton? Got it. So once I have a free team, we'll go automatoning. I have an urgent need for materials. So that's going to be my next big push to solve the looming material crisis. One, two, three. Okay, so I want to frost break this path so that it can border both facilities when I build it. And I'll be getting the council hall once I solve some of these shortages. I'll be getting the council hall in next, so you guys can start voting on stuff. So let's free up 300 workforce to build an extraction district. Like that. And we were 1 week away from running 5-4-3, 2 days. Oh, perfect! Like right as we ran out, we got it built. It was really good timing. And then I was planning on expanding this out like that, so that it covers more materials and produces more goods, so that we can actually start manufacturing goods ourselves to be able to fulfill the goods needs that I'm failing to meet. For that, I also want to frost break a little bit more zone. And we got the salvaging factory that was proposed. Perfect. So once we have the automatons brought back to the town, I can build an industrial factory in order to help with our goods shortage. Question for you guys. What kind of house do you want me to make? Because I need a hothouse to be able to solve some of our food shortages. Bio-waste or chem. So bio-waste is proposed by the foragers. It is the high labor, low yield, but low heat. And the chem is lower workforce, higher yield, but more heat. So one is and they're both, one is squalor, one is disease. So I'll have you guys vote on that next. And our Frostland Explorers were almost done. Oil found. I mean, we had oil at home, but yeah, okay. So materials, a crashed wagon, So it indicates that there's a lot of materials in the plains here, and then tar pits for oil. All right, let's grab the automatons. And then with the remaining 5 people, we will... Well, I don't really need to do anything. Let's do the industrial district here. Perfect. To start producing goods, because we are really goods short. And we also need to expand shelter once we can afford it. And you guys want bio-waste. So I have 28 weeks to solve that crisis, and we're going with a bio-waste solution. So we're it seems like through polling, we are siding with the foragers more than anyone else so far. So that we're gaining a pretty decent amount of trust with the foragers, or a relationship, or at least it's growing in the right direction. Alright, another Frostland team is done. Another thing that would be really useful to do is to build up a little bit of heat stamp wealth so that we can set up corridors to be able to get the coal, the materials, or the oil. So what do we have here? More oil? And a core. I'll just take the core now. And let's start surveying the plains. So this indicator here of the crash wagon indicates that there is a large material deposit here. So this might actually become a materials sub-colony. That would be my my guess, my educated guess. Probably set up a new housing district, but we are pretty low on prefabs. And I think more than anything, we probably need a caravan for those overland materials, because our materials and our food are still bad, and the research that we put in will help with the food, but not the materials. Essentially, extracting forest wood is slow. It can be, of course, sped up by researching sawmills. But in most of these areas, it's finite. So I don't necessarily want a sawmill as we just burn through the natural resource supply on this map tile faster. It's best to source it from the map beyond. Plus, that's kind of our goal, is to establish material colony. And maybe we're working towards that. I am going to overdrive the generator to relieve some of the pressure of coal, so that we are actually gaining stockpile coal, because it's about to get colder, so I'm trying to advance ahead of that. Also let us... I waited for us to gain a little bit more funds, so let's see if we can't do a trail path. Oh, perfect. Yep. We can gain the materials. We'll have access to that soon, and that will help tremendously. So once the looming shortage of food and materials are resolved, I'll aim to try to get the council hall up so that we can start to enact laws that will benefit us. But obviously you can see the materials are coming in, and that is awesome. Alright, the bio-waste is done, and we just need a little bit more heat stamps for it. We almost have enough, and that should solve the food crisis. So freeing up 25 workforce, and we got it. So let's reduce the amount of wood extractors and put the bio-waste. And I want to put the bio-waste in the deep fertile soil zone so that we're not whittling down the more finite node. These have, what, 20 weeks left to prefabs? So the prefab shortage is looming, but I think we can get the council hall up first. So food is basically solved. Right, we're just shy one food, that's not a big deal. The other thing that we need to solve is the housing shortage issue. Especially now that it's getting colder. And there's a whiteout in 80 weeks. Oh boy, I wasn't really ready for that. Okay. Copy that. Thank you for tuning in to Frostpunk 2 Frost Harbor, which originally streamed live on Twitch September 21st. Frost Harbor was cut from the second half of the marathon. In the first half I covered the story, and the second half was a utopia called Frost Harbor. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch a next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow harbormen.